think, well, how could this mild-mannered person do such horrendous things to another person, a human being?
He leaned in. I thought he was going to kiss me. Instead, he said, "Do you know what? I'm going to kill you."
I'd have the sleeping pill mixture already prepared. Person would drink it, fall asleep, and that's when they would be strangled.
What's happening, guys? Jared here, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, well, this is one hell of a video to stumble upon as your intro to how to survive. Just a quick note, viewer discretion is advised, but I mean, if you clicked on this video, you kind of know what you're getting yourself into anyways. From doctors to clowns and even people thinking they're doing the world a favor, today we're covering some of the deadliest serial killers. Why did a killer claim a dog made him kill? Which killer changed the way people saw clowns forever? And did a DNA sample really reveal the identity of Jack the Ripper?
And he walked up to a young lady, started stabbing her, she screamed, left, went a couple blocks away, and started stabbing another lady. She screamed, and he left. Only one of those two ladies reported.
David Richard Berkowitz, known as the Son of Sam, terrorized New York City in the 70s, specifically targeting young women and couples. After serving 3 years in the army, Berkowitz returned to New York and went on to kill a total of 6 people, while severely wounding 7 others. His weapon of choice? A .44 caliber revolver, with the exception of his first 2 victims. Those he stabbed with a hunting knife numerous times. One has never been identified while the other survived, and that may have led to him changing weapons. Berkowitz's attacks began on December 24th, 1975 and lasted until July 31st, 1977. He sent letters to the police and a journalist signing off as Son of Sam, and the name stuck. When a newspaper published one of the letters, many women in New York City, fearing for their lives, cut or dyed their hair, as there was a clear pattern of Berkowitz attacking women with long, dark hair. On August 10th, 1977, Berkowitz was arrested and confessed to all of the attacks. His reasoning? Sam Carr, his neighbor, had a dog who Berkowitz believed was possessed by a demon who told him to commit the crimes, hence the creepy Son of Sam name. Okay, a possessed dog. We're off to a great start here. He was later diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. Yeah, that checks out. On May 8th, 1978, Berkowitz pleaded guilty to the murders and was sentenced to a total of 365 years in prison. As of 2025, he's being held in Shawangunk Correctional Facility, a maximum security prison just outside New York City. Our next killer created a hotel where you could check out anytime you like, but you could never leave.
In essence, this is a person who spends a lot of time fantasizing about death and killing. But overall, there's more to this. The killing is actually part of the fulfillment of his fantasy process.
From a young age, H.H. Holmes was fascinated with skeletons and human anatomy. He passed his medical exams in 1884, then moved to Chicago, where his horrific killing ways would begin. After taking over a pharmacy, Holmes constructed a 3-story hotel and placed ads in local newspapers offering jobs for young women and tourists looking for a place to stay. Little did they know that this hotel was designed to ensure they would never leave. Holmes had soundproof rooms attached to gas lines, ensuring he could knock out guests whenever he wanted. The hotel also had trap doors, dead-end stairways, secret peepholes, and a lab in the basement. However, the lab wasn't for experiments. Instead, it was equipped with a crematory and dissecting table, both of which Holmes would use when getting rid of any evidence. Holmes tortured some victims and even sold their skeletons to medical schools. He also offered free lodging for employees if they took out life insurance policies naming him as the beneficiary. So, after killing them, he'd cash out. Eventually, Holmes was arrested while he appeared to be trying to flee the country. Police became suspicious, and a thorough investigation uncovered gruesome findings inside his hotel, dubbed the Murder Castle. While he admitted to murdering 29 people, investigators believe his true kill count was closer to 200. In May 1896, he was executed by hanging. Although Holmes kept his head, the same can't be said about our next killer's victims.
And then he put his hand over my nose and mouth and cut off my air that way. And he would do that until I would just go unconscious, and then he would kind of bring me back. He liked watching me fade in and out of consciousness.
Ted Bundy is known as one of history's most notorious, cunning, and evil serial killers. He admitted to kidnapping and murdering around 30 victims over 4 years, but authorities believe that number is significantly higher. Some sources claim Bundy's first murder was in 1961, but most accounts suggest he started killing in 1974, targeting college-aged women across Washington, Oregon, Colorado, Utah, and eventually Florida. Some were attacked in their home while sleeping. Bundy would lure other victims while he wore a fake cast or appeared to have a disability, asking them for help to put something in his car. Once their backs were turned, he'd strike. He usually tied up his victims, forced himself onto them, and then cut them up. And this has forever made me look at Zac Efron differently. To make matters creepier, Bundy kept some of the victims' skulls as souvenirs. He was also known for regularly visiting the areas where he'd dump his victims' bodies, often having relations with their corpses. In August 1975, Bundy was arrested on kidnapping charges while authorities were building a murder case against him. During a preliminary hearing in 1977, Bundy opted to act as his own lawyer, which gave him access to the courthouse library. Unshackled and unattended, thanks to the guards supervising him going out for a smoke, he escaped jumping out of a window. Thankfully, he was captured just a week later, but wouldn't stay locked up for long. In December of that same year, after dropping 30 pounds, Bundy escaped from his cell through a hole he had carved out in the ceiling. 2 weeks after his escape, Bundy broke into a sorority house and attacked 4 women, killing 2 and severely injuring the other 2. In February of 1978, he committed his final murder and was finally apprehended by authorities. Ted Bundy was sentenced to death row and was executed by electrocution on January 24, 1989. His trial was the first to be nationally televised. Speaking of electrocution, anyone with the nickname The Killer Clown will definitely shock you. John Wayne Gacy started his own construction business and worked with a Chicago-based clown club. He often attended charity and community events to entertain children. In between events, though, he was hunting for his next victim. After his first murder in January 1972, Gacy started to use his construction business as a front to lure in his victims. He'd specifically target teenage boys, promising them work. After inviting them over to his house, Gacy would usually handcuff them and then have his way with them before killing his victims. Throughout the 70s, Gacy was investigated by authorities who suspected he was involved in the disappearance of a handful of teenagers. But it wasn't until 1978 that a 15-year-old went missing after telling his mother he was going to meet Gacy to discuss a potential job opportunity. This led to police searching Gacy's house, and nothing could have prepared them for what they found.
As it turns out, he had buried 27 young kids in the crawl space. He buried one of the young kids outside in his backyard, and he didn't have any room left on his property, so he threw 5 remaining victims in the Des Plaines River.
Gacy had no excuses this time and confessed to the murder charges brought against him.
At one point, chillingly, he says to the detectives, "You know, clowns can get away with murder." Well, never was a truer word said.
Gacy was convicted of raping, torturing, and killing 33 people in total. He was executed in 1994 by lethal injection. When some of the bodies were found in 1978, 8 of them couldn't be identified. As recently as 2021, DNA testing confirmed the identity of a victim who had been missing since 1976. Moving on, a killer that was allegedly identified almost 140 years after his spree. Jack the Ripper has inspired dozens of movies, TV shows, and novels since the serial killer went on a spree in London's Whitechapel district back in 1888. Specifically targeting sex workers, Jack the Ripper killed 5 women between August and November that year. Known for cutting their throats and stomachs open, it's believed he also stole some of their organs, including uteruses, to keep as trophies. Given the nature of the kills, police concluded the killer must have worked with knives, specifically as a butcher or a surgeon. Although they did have some suspects, no one was ever officially charged, and it seemed the identity of Jack the Ripper would remain a mystery. That is until 2025. That's when DNA was found on one of the victim's shawls, believed to be that of Jack the Ripper. And apparently, he was a barber.
So the name of the murderer, which has always been known, the name is Aaron Kosminski. He was a Polish immigrant Jew that came over to Whitechapel in 1881 with his brother, and he was 23 at the age of the murders.
Russell Edwards has intimate knowledge of the dark secrets the shawl was hiding, since he bought it at an auction in 2007. After discovering blood from Catherine Eddowes, the victim, and bodily fluids from Kosminski on the shawl, Edwards compared his findings with the DNA of distant relatives of both Eddowes and Kosminski. According to reports, the DNA was a 100% match, and relatives of the victim are pursuing a legal application to look further into these findings. Kosminski was a suspect back in the 1880s, but he was never arrested. In 1919, he died while being held in an asylum, with sources claiming he had schizophrenia. As you can see, a few killers like keeping trophies, as they're sometimes called, of their victims. But our next killer did much more than just keep reminders of the people he killed.
I was branching out. That's when the cannibalism started, eating of the heart and the arm muscle. It was a way of making me feel that they were a part of me.
Jeffrey Dahmer is sometimes referred to as the Milwaukee Cannibal, since most of his killings took place in his hometown, and he had a taste for flesh. This guy was sick. And just like Zac Efron, I can't look at Evan Peters the same way ever again. Dahmer's first kill came in 1978, shortly after he graduated from high school. He'd go on to kill 17 young men until he was caught for his disgusting crimes in 1991. The reason he was caught? One of his victims was able to escape and alert the police. Dahmer would often spike the drinks of his victims, leaving them defenseless. Well, he had his way with them. When police searched Dahmer's apartment, they found body parts, including some of his victims' heads, in the fridge and freezer. There were also dozens of photos of Dahmer's victims, mostly cut up all around his room. Authorities also found a bin of acid, which was used to dispose of some of the remains, or the leftovers he didn't finish eating, that is. And upon being arrested, he allegedly told authorities, "For what I did, I should be dead." In February 1992, Dahmer was sentenced to 15 consecutive life terms in prison, but his time behind bars didn't last long. In November 1994, he was murdered by another inmate, Christopher Scarver. Yeah, I think it's safe to say he creeped people out. Our next entry will ensure you lock your doors tonight and every night. Richard Ramirez was a self-described Satanist who committed crimes across Southern California, the majority of which took place in Los Angeles. Nicknamed the Night Stalker, Ramirez was known for breaking into homes, sometimes forcing himself upon victims before killing them. His choice of weapons ranged from guns to knives and even a hammer. Between 1984 and 1985, the Night Stalker killed a total of 13 people.
He went after old people, he went after young people. He went after men, he went after women.
But he didn't kill all of his victims. Some he assaulted and then abandoned. Survivors claim Ramirez would mention Satan while committing his crimes.
He had no empathy, no feelings, nothing. He wanted to be known as the greatest serial killer that ever lived.
Police were able to identify Ramirez after collecting his fingerprints from his abandoned car. Due to previous arrests for petty crimes, he was already in their system. His final arrest came in 1985, when newspapers plastered his face on their front pages. Panicked and desperate to get out of town, he attempted to steal a car from a woman, but that didn't work out so well for him. Hearing screams outside of their home, the woman's husband came to her aid, hitting Ramirez in the head with a metal pole. Other neighbors then joined in, severely beating him until police arrived and took him into custody. In July 1988, Ramirez pleaded not guilty, but yelled, as he left court. He also showed the courtroom a pentagram symbol drawn onto his hand. In September 1989, he was found guilty on all charges. That entailed 13 murders, 5 attempted murders, 11 SAs, and 14 burglaries. When all was said and done, Richard Ramirez was given 19 death sentences, but died of cancer while on death row in 2013. Speaking of cancer, our final killer will make you think twice about seeing a doctor.
That was all part of this great power trip that he was on, that their last words would have been, "Thank you, doctor."
Harold Shipman was a doctor who practiced in Greater Manchester, England. Unlike most practitioners whose goals are to help patients, Shipman had other intentions, earning him the nickname Dr. Death. I'm sure you can see where I'm going with this one. Between 1972 and 1998, it's believed Shipman was responsible for the deaths of up to 250 people. The majority were elderly women who Shipman would visit at their homes, inject with lethal doses of morphine, and forge their wills to make him their beneficiary. For years, he was able to get away with the murders, claiming that his victims had died in their sleep. However, given that a lot of the victims were killed during the day, shortly after Shipman visited them, people started to ask questions. Following an investigation, Shipman was cleared of any wrongdoing after it appeared his victims' medical records were in order. Little did the authorities know that Shipman was altering these records to cover his tracks, something that would come to light after his eventual arrest. In 1988, hours after Shipman visited an 81-year-old woman on a house call, she died. Angela Woodruff, the woman's daughter, who's also a lawyer, was shocked by the sudden death of her mother and questioned Shipman when a second will was discovered, leaving everything to the doctor. Suspecting forgery, she contacted the police. Woodruff's mother's body was then dug up, and an autopsy revealed she died from a morphine overdose. This led to Shipman's house being raided, with authorities finding altered medical records. It was clear there was more than one victim. In 1998, Harold Shipman was charged with 15 counts of murder, but a clinical audit estimates he was responsible for at least 236 deaths. Shipman denied all the charges against him, and his true number of victims may be closer to 250. Sentenced to life in prison in 2000, Shipman hung himself in his cell 4 years later. Okay, wow, this one got really dark. Hopefully you can find comfort knowing that all of the people on this list are in jail or dead. The unfortunate reality is that there are a lot of sick people out there in the world. So your best way to avoid being a victim or targeted by a serial killer is to trust your instincts and report any suspicious activity you notice. Staying in more crowded areas and telling others of your plans, especially if you're going somewhere alone, can make all the difference. We say it all the time. Being aware of your surroundings is a key to survival, and there's a good reason for that. If you notice something seems off, you can react better and you're much more likely to avoid a deadly situation. So put the phone down and keep an eye out. But if you're in the comfort of your home, your doors are locked, and if you want to learn more about some of the world's worst people, check out our video on the deadliest inmates. It's not for the faint of heart, that's for sure. Then again, neither is this video. We'll see you next time on another episode of How to Survive.